Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're going to be watching 3 different Puffin Forest videos. This is just off the heels of Puffin's trip to Japan, and that was just me geeking out the entire time and enjoying every second. This, though, is going to be a little different. This is going back to the tabletop stuff. Specifically, this is going to be Intro to Open Legend Tabletop RPG, which I think is a program? This is losing geek points, not knowing that one properly. Yeah. A D&D role... or critical role animation, funny scene. Grog hides unconscious, which I swear I like hiding when I'm unconscious the best. It's great. I would plan for it, except I'm unconscious. Would unconscious again. And I did not read the title of this one before this moment. Making a D&D character for a cat. You know, it has to be the evil overlord of adorableness. That's just how it goes. I'm not saying it's the villain. It's the secret boss that you have no chance of beating and you have to lose to, even though you're overpowered and broke the game with your crazy awesomeness. You're still going to lose. So let's get started. Oh god, as you can tell, I'm a Puffin Forest fan. I'm especially looking forward to the cat one because it's a freaking kitty. I wonder if it has a hairball attack. You guys know the drill. Link to all 3 episodes down below. If you haven't hit it up already, fix that. Good. Glad we hit this talk. Let's get started.
Hey guys, Ben here.
Whoa.
I'm going to be making a rambling video
that's different.
Will eventually, hopefully, become an introduction on a system called
Open
Legend,
on the face.
which is the only thing I have ever thrown money at on Kickstarter.
Oh.
I've heard too many horror stories from other people to really trust it, except for this one. Which begs the question, why did I suddenly have a change of heart and decide to put my money behind it? A few reasons. First off, the game is open license, meaning that subsequent game makers can take this system, build on it, and make their own content, which is pretty cool. Also, the entire game system is completely free to read. The rule set is up on their website, so you can look at it there at openlegendrpg.com.
I hope this sounds actually interesting.
I will put the link in the description of this video, so you can check it out if you're so inclined.
Granted, it's been a while.
The system is something called a generic RPG.
Like
the concept is, it's a system that tries to be mythos and setting independent, so you could just as easily use it to run a space opera or fantasy or 80s action
kind of like
movie.
D&D if you completely
or it could be used to run a really off-the-wall
lore.
RPG concepts that none of the other game systems can cover, like one where you're a bunch of anthropomorphic household appliances going out in search for their master,
are those the
or
people
if
from...
players are reincarnated dragons living out their lives as Englishmen in the 1800s. There's a few
That's
other
a real
generic
game?
systems that I've dealt with that have tried to tackle this, like Fates, GURPS, which stands for Generic Universal Role-Playing System.
GURPS?
Savage Worlds, The Strange, Basic Role-Playing, OpenD6, to name a few.
You've
even got this new Genesis system coming out, which is based on the Fantasy Flight Star Wars game.
Ooh.
However, this system has a few interesting things that make it stand out.
I would love the models.
We'll get into later.
Awesome. Never played.
The best way I think to describe Open Legend is, like, if someone looked at D&D and said, yeah, D&D is cool and all, but instead of locking the abilities to various classes and levels, what if instead we turn everything into feats and assign them a point cost which players can just buy at character creation? So, for example,
I can already see the brokenness.
Lethal Strike, which gives bonus damage if the opponent is unaware of them.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of familiar. You might even call it a stabby back ability.
Like a sneaky one, even.
Maybe. Or there's an ability that allows a character to go into a rage and attack recklessly.
But that wouldn't be Bloodlust or anything. Or
this way of setting everything up through feats is an interesting idea and opens up a lot of character concepts.
Yeah.
They also apply this for race abilities as well.
What?
Instead of saying, I'm playing an elf, so that means I get a bonus to intelligence and I'm ageless, it's more like, I want to play an elf, so I'll put ranks in intelligence and buy the ageless feat at character creation.
Oh, so you have...
The combat in Open Legend is done very
uniquely,
let's say. Combat tends to be a beast in generic RPGs because, really, how would you make a universal combat system?
Badly?
Most generic RPGs I've seen in other games boil it down to two strategies when it comes to combat. Either they basically throw it out the window by saying you make an attack against a defense and don't really care how it gets done.
Like magic.
Or they stat everything in existence with a host of splat books. The system takes a third option, where they try and keep the game strategic, but remove a lot of the trappings.
Oh.
Combat in Open Legend revolves around banes and boons.
Boons.
When you make an attack,
I did not just misread that as a different letter.
or inflict a bane on the opponent. For example, blindness,
Oh, he's getting hit with that.
Fear,
I thought he was... shooting
In addition,
a
there's the other side of that coin with boons, which are benefits, like protecting people, healing wounds, or bolstering allies. The interesting thing about Banes and Boons is that everyone can use them.
Ooh.
You start out with your base stats.
So everyone's
agility,
basically a spellcaster.
might, learning, logic, and so on, and assign points to these stats. Banes and Boons have a prerequisite before you can access them, like your agility must be at 3 to use the disarm maneuver, or your might has to be at 1 to use knockdown. But certain Banes can actually come from multiple stats. So to use the Bane blindness, it could be from agility if you're just flicking dirt in their eyes, or it could be from a paladin who raises up a shield and does a solar flare.
Oh, that's actually really cool.
You could use your might or presence or influence to demoralize the opponent. Just like Banes,
well, if he's trying to hype this up, I am hyped.
Healing could come from intelligence with a smart magic or alchemist,
or
from a cleric's creation magic.
Why do they all look like... Oh, that's
Getting into the magic... In this game, spellcasting is much more open-ended than the other ones.
Ooh.
You have spheres of extraordinary abilities. Alteration, creation, energy, entropy, influence, movement, prescience, and protection.
Am I the only one thinking Skyrim for a second there?
If you want to play a character who uses magic, instead of picking spells, you put ranks into a sphere of extraordinary abilities. And so you can use Banes and Boons that correspond to how many ranks you put in that sphere. So, if you want to play a vampire who warps the minds of the weak, using Banes like Mind Dredge or Domination, you would put ranks into Influence Magic, Sphere, which would give you access to the boons Invisibility, Darkness, and Aura of Fear.
Nice.
While in the feats, you could buy Alternate Form as a bat or flying.
Oh. Ooh.
The system also does rolling a little bit differently. It includes 2 options called Success with a twist and Failure, but the story continues.
Oh.
These are 2 other options if someone doesn't pass a difficulty check.
So you don't have to just kill your character and drop out.
The way it works is that if someone fails a roll, they can still succeed, but at a consequence. For example, if they're trying to run and they fail their athletics checks to do a badass power slide under the portcullis that's rapidly closing, instead of having them get stuck on the other side, the GM could just say that the player slid so hard they went right off the cliff and take some damage on the way down. Then there's the other option, Failure, but the story continues, where a player could get false information when they're making an intelligence roll, or instead of picking a lock, they figure out that the key for the door is hidden somewhere else. This particular system is also used in combat as well. If you miss an attack, you can still opt to do a grazing wound, which does a little bit of damage, inflict a minor bane, or move 10 feet.
How would bane work
it gives something to the characters that miss their attacks and lets them still have, an impact on the fight.
Would missing actually be useful if you have a good enough bane?
Hopefully some of you might be interested. I was just trying to give you guys an overview for how the system works.
Yes?
If you're curious, all the rules are up online, which you can check out. The only issue is that they have not released a bestiary or enemies list or any fluff yet. So if you run it, you're going to have to do a little bit of work making some of the monsters and lore up.
Yeah, not too bad.
Anyway, that's it for me.
Yes, while you're there.
Hope you have fun.
Sounds fun. Ooh.
I'll see you guys
I
next
think we
time.
must do this. Ooh, new endings picture. Nice. Fluffy, your face is different. So I might be looking into that new open source D&D style RPG that he mentioned, and if you ever see me do a live stream of it, expect me to dick around with everyone because I will be the GM, and everyone will have to suffer. Unless I'm playing, in which case I would never make a GM suffer. I would never do that. Don't ever. Yeah. I just realized I say all this stuff on camera and it goes online, and then the internet keeps it forever. I'm sure that could never backfire. Crap. Moving on before I have a sudden flash of senility or sanity, take your pick. This is going to be Critical Role animated. I just hiding unconscious. I want to see what they do here.
Pile of cloth and kind of wraps it up carefully. Sets it down. A pleasure doing business with you all.
The gift wrapping?
Really?
Terribly sorry. My apologies. I'll be right to it. He turns and leaves the room.
What was that?
What was that?
The doorway.
I was saying
the impacts of metal rapidly and heavily. And you glance behind and you see walking through the doorway the very heavy hulking figure of Dodie carrying 2 unconscious guards that are hanging from his hands.
For a second I thought Cybermen.
What?
Still thinking it.
Give me those! I'll punch them both 1 time each in the jaw, just for extra measure.
Am I the one who looks like I think Ruby? Is the hair colors?
Both jaws are very broken.
Oh no!
Well, your guy really did a number. Cool. Okay.
Maybe you should have the guy gift wrap them.
Everybody's gonna die. All right, so we're gonna kill everyone that we see in the next 10 seconds.
Oh, God. That escalated.
All right. Partners, right?
Okay.
I'll do whatever you say.
Oh, God.
Yeah, there's a counter in the front area.
Is it wooden?
Yeah.
Can he see through the counter?
No, the proprietor is in the back room. He's wrapping your stuff right now.
He doesn't know what this happened. Let's get rid of them. Get rid of them.
Well, what's in the shop?
There's a couple lanterns. It's warm lit on the interior, and as you're looking around, it's not a huge establishment, but I mean, make a perception check.
Was that a 26?
2.
Two.
Yeah,
Sounds about accurate for a stressful situation.
Let's sit them up like they're just sleeping and nobody will notice.
They have jaws.
Everybody sleeps with broken jaws.
The blood.
Yeah, no.
The jaws are terrible.
Yeah, well, didn't you put a mask on, Donnie? Let's do it again.
I don't have extra masks.
Why don't you have extra masks? You monster.
I sit one up in the corner and I sit the other one up and I like lean it on his shoulder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What?
Don't worry.
I can tell that those are two.
No, I've got a better idea. I'll take the cask of ale out of the bag of holding and I'll
No.
start pouring ale all over them.
You know, suddenly this actually makes sense.
You're drinking. They're guards on duty.
They're terrible gods. They make horrible life choices. They're in the wrong line of work. I'll take 2 chalices and I'll throw it in their laps. Cool.
Thing is, that actually probably would work.
On them.
They just got into a fist
I
fight.
can't vomit.
Do it right now. Put your finger down your throat and
Oh, God.
Make an intimidation check, Grog.
Is that a success or a failure to make it work?
17. Puke on those fucking guards.
16.
Oh, God. They actually rolled it to puke. Oh, no. No. Oh, God. They're actually going to... Don't animate that. Oh, God. Please don't animate that. Please don't animate that.
And that's going to be gift forever. Make a Constitution saving throw.
Oh my God. Natural 20.
Oh my God.
About 30 seconds of you trying to gag yourself pass before the shop owner comes back with these
Oh, God.
bundle of healing potions. All right, so
1 second. 1 second.
Sir, I'm really sorry. These 2 gentlemen obviously have been off their ass. They came in here smelling of booze.
What
looking
the
for
hell?
Something to make them feel better. I don't know. And they just passed out in your corner. Is there someone you know that we could call? I really hate just leaving them
make a
here.
deception check.
9.
He slowly hands out this really nice bundle, and it has like a little bow
gift
on it,
wrapping,
and it's
quite
wrapped, and
extreme.
he hands it out to you and she goes, "Please, take this and never come back
Oh,
The
God.
rest of the day.
ever again. Your presence has brought me no end of pain. Just go."
Obviously, we have gotten the better end of this deal.
I think that is true. Absolutely.
Do you still have the...
Go!
We should go. We should leave.
All right. Thank you for your business. Good day to you. Let's go.
I can't believe I'm about to say this, but that last clip has convinced me of one thing. I kind of want to react to the Critical Role podcast. I was not expecting to say that. I knew he did it for a while. I was always kind of wondering about checking it out when I had the time, and now I kind of want to react to it. So I'll ask you guys down below, should I react to the Critical Role podcast from Puffin Forest? Because if it's half as good as that last clip, even without the animations, just the story they pulled together, just how ridiculous it was. That was a thing of beauty. Oh, God. Also, why is it a character for a cat when he's playing with the dog? I guess we'll find out. God.
Growing up, the only pet I had was a dog, and it
Because
wasn't
he's talking
until
about a
I was
dog.
in my 20s that I had a friend who had a cat, and a cat, and a cat, and a whole lot more of them. Because I had never
They're all
grown up with a
cute,
cat, that
but
led
there's
to
a
me awkwardly
few.
asking them, what is the proper cat protocol? What do you mean?
Ignore it.
Do you pet them?
No, you
Do they
ignore
like
it.
belly
will
rubs
eat
or
you.
something? What I'm asking for is the proper
Depends. How much do they like
modus
skin on your face?
operandi for cat-based interactions. Funnily enough, there are 2 cats my friend has, Couch and Clementine. Couch is a lap cat, super friendly and loves pets. And if he sits on you, I hope you don't have anywhere to go for the next 2 hours.
Yeah, they're adorable
Clementine is
little
actually the
bundles of
opposite.
floof.
You don't pet Clementine. Clementine pets you.
Yeah.
She rubs up next to your leg, but when your hands come down towards her, she scampers off. I always thought Couch was a weird name for a cat. So one day I asked my friend, hey, why did you decide to call your cat Couch? There's probably a cool backstory behind it, isn't there?
Got drunk.
Backstory time! Well, I wanted to have a cat with a weird name, and I thought, hey, Couch is a weird name. So I called my cat Couch.
I've done dumber things.
Epic cat backstory's over! I know this is going to sound really weird to a lot of you, but there's actually no stats for a cat in Dungeons & Dragons. I mean,
what?
That's ridiculous, right? Actually, it's right there if you look at the back of the player's handbook on page... Not even in the game. Can you believe it? All right, looks like it's up to us. Meow. We're going to make Couch a character. Let's go over the stats. We'll start with strength. How strong is Couch?
Are they super
Well,
pooper?
when I tried to remove the cat from my leg, it was stuck on, so we'll say that's like a 14.
Super
Dexterity.
epic character.
Couch? Where'd you go? We'll say it's a 20. Constitution. Cats puke all the time.
Yeah.
Definitely not dwarven-made bellies. We'll say a 7. Intelligence. A test of knowledge. To determine this, I left Couch for a few hours in a locked room with an essay question, asking him to explain the primary conflicts that influenced the political discourse of the Elector of Bavaria during the 1700s, and Couch didn't write anything, so we'll put it down as an 8 with needs improvement. Wisdom.
That's actually probably a better answer than anyone else would give
I asked
either.
him what he thought about politics and which candidate he's going to be voting for in the next election cycle. And he said nothing. So he obviously has enough common sense to stay out of it. That's definitely an 18 right
Not touching
there.
that one.
Charisma.
Kitty.
All right, Couch, time for you to pick classes.
Yeah.
What kind of class do you want to be?
Why is the cat look upset?
Don't worry. I know it sounds confusing, but I will help you pick. So
no.
First off, I saw Couch try and climb a wall, slip, and then catch himself. So I definitely know that he has the stroke of luck ability from the rogue, and that's at least 20 levels of rogue. Couch also spends a lot of time looking out at the forest and watching over it. And by forest, I mean that one singular tree outside of the apartment that's surrounded by concrete. But hey, that's a forest.
He wants to
definitely
climb
one
it.
with nature, so I'll say Drew. How many levels, though?
48.
I'll just put 1 for now. Also, I remember
Only
one time
one?
Couch was watching me poop, so I don't know what class that is exactly.
Is more than a little freaky.
He's got a lot of levels in it.
Yeah.
Definitely, he's a ranger as well. Favored terrain, laps. And we'll say he's 10 levels because he can hide in plain sight.
Yeah, that's a kitty thing.
What kind of race should he be? Oh,
kitty.
I think I know what kind of race he should be, and it's pretty obvious.
Cat.
If you haven't already caught on.
So
everyone following along at home, say aloud the race you think he should be, and the answer is Vampire Tarrasque. Vampire Tarrasque.
I don't even know what
I don't know why I
Tarrasque
bother
is.
explaining the choice, because it's so obvious. But he's a vampire because he's nocturnal and sleeps during the day, and the Tarrasque because he steps on things and sometimes knocks them over. Now, you might be thinking, cats aren't that destructive to personal property.
Yes, they are.
You've never owned a cat before, have you? Neither have I. Shut up.
Yes, they are. He's
go.
actually
now you have a
completely
good
accurate
character
about
made
that.
for your cat. Now you can play with them. I'm assuming this is what they meant when they said playing with the cat. Maybe cats prefer Settlers of Catan instead?
The monsters. You know, when he said he's going to make a character for a cat, I thought he was actually making a serious character for the cat. They're just going to play as if the cat was a character. No, they actually found a cat and made a character sheet for the cat to play. It's so stupid, but it's so amusing because it's a little floofball. And then it stares at him while he's crapping on the toilet. Not going to lie. That's disturbing. And even more disturbing, he only had 10 levels of that? I would have put it at least at 21, which I don't know if is even possible, but the cat has it, because cat. Case just closed right there. As for the destructive aspect, I have lived with cats that is actually downplaying how bad it can be. Seriously, they will never see an open doorway or an unpissed on bed that there's I could fix that. I know what I said. I know what I said. So many wet spots. Oh, God. the Vampire Trask suddenly seems a lot more reasonable, actually. In fact, I don't even think it's a joke. That is an actual, very safe, secure way to look at a cat. That makes sense. Oh god, I wish it didn't make sense. I love kitties. They're little floofballs of awesomeness. They're also... Yeah, Vampire Trask is accurate. Swallow some, everyone. You guys know the drill. Link below, original video. And again, if you would like to see reactions to the Critical Role podcast, hit me up with that, because I'm kind of tempted after just watching that one little animation of a single moment of awesome in there. So yeah, if you guys want to see that, let me know. I'll actually put it on the list. All the same, thanks for watching, everyone. Adios.